The countdown is on. SAKURA Genesis right around the corner. We are getting excited. Chris Charlton, Kevin Kelly, the preview show here on njpwworld.com. Chris, of course, in Japan. I'm in the States. We'll be calling it live with Gino Gambino. And the event starts on Sunday, 5 p.m. local time. So, for example, for me, it's 4 a.m. in the United States on the East Coast. But it'll be fun because we've got a whole lot to talk about. Chris, obviously a short road to tour, but I think very important. We learned quite a bit. And I think first and foremost, let's talk about the new World Heavyweight Championship and the belt presentation ceremony itself.
Yeah, I mean, it was displayed, of course, on Tuesday night, and really a stunning belt. I love it. I think that the first time you see it, it's so different. And I think there's such a great lineage. You see the history of the belt in there, and as we described in the opening ceremony there, you see the history of it. It reminds me very similar of like Hashimoto's second generation belt, but at the same time with a modern twist to it. And of course, the V4 belt was so iconic to a lot of people, and that's when a lot of people became fans. But I think this new design will become just as iconic over the next 5, 10, 15 years to a whole new generation of fans all over the world. I think it's great.
Obviously, and I think we would both agree that the champion makes the title and not vice versa. So that championship in the hands of Kota Ibushi, at least for now, the melding together and taking away the V4 championship belt plus the Intercontinental title, which is, so well known with Shinsuke Nakamura, and people want to see, they're not over the moon about the unification to begin with. So I think that leads to some of the displeasure about the belt. But once I saw the explanation, this was not just slapped together on a whim. There was a lot of thought put into the design of this title.
Yeah, and of course, there was such a huge generational shift. I think if we didn't include those elements, then it would be such a shame. But as we saw that walkthrough, every single belt is represented within this new World Heavyweight Championship. And you from that top upper edge being round, like the original belt was round. It's the crown shape, of course, which is the second generation belt. You've got wings on there, which kind of evokes the third, and then the lion mark being the fourth. And the more you look at some of the close-up pictures that I've seen and that have come out on social media and online since, you see another new detail in there every time you look at it. It really, really does become all the more impressive the more you see it.
It took me a couple of looks to notice the shape where the gems kind of represent teeth and it's biting the world, and it was almost an optical illusion. I didn't see it until I saw it. Now that's all I see. Flying on the wings of fighting spirit. I think the belt is it's a beautiful belt. It's a piece of art, and I think the prize is more valuable than ever. I've always said that the IWGP Heavyweight Champion is the best wrestler in the world. Now the World Heavyweight Champion is indeed the best wrestler in the world. So that championship is up for grabs, of course, in just a little while here at SAKURA Genesis. We'll talk about that in a few moments. I want to touch on a couple of other things. We have a junior heavyweight tag team title match. We have a debut, perhaps. We'll talk about that. But let's start with Tanahashi and Switchblade Jay White. They'll meet in tag team action. Tanahashi with Kojima versus Jay White and Fale. The other night, Tanahashi shut the door on the Never Challenge. Where do you think things stand, Chris?
It's interesting. I think Tanahashi's. I know he spoke recently to our friend Justin Pissarro over at Sports Illustrated, and there was questions thrown that way over how he sees himself as never champion, and he's almost sort of evoked Shinsuke Nakamura with the old Intercontinental Championship. He says, I want to elevate the never openweight title to a status that's level with this new IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and to do that, he wants to take on newsworthy opponents that he's never faced before, and opponents that's going to get the world talking. So maybe Tanahashi, on the one hand, feels that he's wrestled Jay White an awful lot. This isn't his vision of what an ever openweight championship match should be. But I think, and if Gino's not around here, I'll speak up for him. Is Tanahashi a little bit scared of Jay White? He has faced Jay White a lot, but he's lost to Jay White a lot.
Yeah, I don't think, in this pandemic world that we're in, the idea of Tanahashi getting outside challengers is going to happen anytime soon, whether he be traveling or people traveling to face him. It's just the reality of the way things are for right now. And Tanahashi never said never, but he just said no right now. And obviously, what does he want to see from Jay? Because as soon as Jay heard the word no, he whacked Hanma across the back with the kendo stick. So what, the beatings will continue until morale improves? I don't know where it's going to be. But if Jay White does what Jay White wants to do at Sakura Genesis, he's going to beat Tanahashi again in Ryogoku, and then Tanahashi will have no question. He will have to put that title on the line sooner rather than later. The team of Fale and Jay White, by the way, also hold a victory over Tanahashi and Okada. So that, of course, is that situation. We know that the United Empire has a huge night, of course, in the main event, but the debut or the unveiling of a new member, X, as he's referred to now, will team with Okan and Jeff Cobb. Talk about what's the word on the street. Who's it going to be, Chris? Come on.
I really don't know. This is something it's been buzzing. It's been the buzz all around. The internet, who it could be. There's a lot of names that have popped up more often than others. But there's a lot of sort of free agents in the world. It really could be anybody. And at the same time, I happened to have a little chat with Will Ospreay over the last week or so, and I asked him. They've been talking United Empire about more people coming in since the very start. So I said, well, okay, you're not going to tell me who it is, but is it one of those names that were around since the very start, or is this a new addition? He said, no, this has come together over the last month. So, that's an interesting sort of thing to put in there, that this was something that came together relatively recently, a deal that came together relatively recently. But apart from that, that's all I know.
So we'll find out who the new man will be in. And we can listen. I can confirm one thing that I have found out. It will not be Bo Staff, because
No.
Kenta has Bo Staff right now. And it's obviously, not listening to Yoshihashi anymore. A never open 6 challengers were found the other night as well. And I don't expect that intense feud with the Bullet Club squad and the Chaos squad to diminish anytime soon. The champions are all going to have to be on notice, but of course, the biggest title of them all is at stake in our main event. Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. But before that, the junior heavyweight tag team titles up for grabs, with the returning Yo back together with Sho, Roppongi 3K against El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru for titles that Roppongi 3K never lost. Chris, what are your thoughts on this junior heavyweight tag team title match that was made the night of the New Japan Cup Finals?
It's poetic, really, isn't it? Both those teams have a tie to Ryogoku Sumo Hall and a tie to one another in Ryogoku Sumo Hall. Of course, like when Roppongi 3K first made their debuts, it was King Pro Wrestling 2017. They won the championships their first night in that building. And then you sort of fast forward a couple of years later, and El Desperado returning from injury at Ryogoku Sumo Hall to beat Sho and Yo. So, everything, it's funny how things tie together. Of course, the former champions, they never lost the titles. They had to vacate the titles thanks to Yo's injury. So they've certainly got that claim. I'm interested to see what Roppongi 3K do differently as a unit together. I think we saw little flashes of Yo broadening his moveset before he had his injury. We've seen Sho take off as a single star over the last year or so. So once those two factors come back together, are they going to gel as easily, because they have to gel perfectly if they're going to beat Desperado and Kanemaru. So that's interesting to me. What's the next evolution of Roppongi 3K?
I would have loved to have seen Yo get a couple of reps during the road to Sakura Genesis. We know he's medically cleared and he's ready to go, but obviously the decision was made to have him re-debut in a pressure-packed situation with the tag team titles up for grabs. We'll see how it goes, but my money is on the champs in this scenario. Just I would have loved to have seen Yo move a little bit. I know Sho can certainly show the load, and he beat the holy hell out of everybody on Suzuki-gun the other night at the last stop on the road to Sakura Genesis. It'd be interesting to see how things go, but it's great to have Yo back. That is for sure. So then we'll turn our attention to the main event at long last. Kota Ibushi defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship for the first time against Will Ospreay, who earned this shot by winning the New Japan Cup. How do you scout this matchup? It's epic, Chris.
It is huge, and again, it's another poetic set of circumstances. Of course, it's appropriate that this is the first defense of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in Ryogoku. It's the same building where the IWGP Heavyweight Championship was properly set in stone when Inoki beat Masa Saito. That was back in '87, and then you fast forward to another sort of few decades, and 5 years ago, of course, a young Will Ospreay makes his New Japan debut in Ryogoku. In pretty much 5 years ago to the day, wrestling for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship for the first time, now challenging for the top championship. He's wrestled heavyweight champions before, but never with the belts on the line. So it's certainly poetic, but this is, for me, a match that Kota Ibushi needs to win. It's not just a factor of, okay, the champion has to win, has to stay that top spot. Kota Ibushi, by doing what he's done in his first reign, by unifying these belts, by creating the World Heavyweight Championship, his career will be defined by this reign, for better or for worse. When we close the book on Kota Ibushi, heaven knows when, everybody, the key chapter will be this World Heavyweight Championship run. And if it's a flop, then he'll be a flop forever. It doesn't matter everything that he's done. So he's literally putting his entire legacy, his life's work into this reign and into this match. And I think Kota Ibushi knows that more than everyone. I think Kota Ibushi needs to win this match more than anything. And I think because of that, because he realizes that, my money's on him.
I also, again, you couldn't have said it better, that so much of the pressure is on Ibushi, but he comes into this match healthy. And let's not forget that Will Ospreay went through hell to win the New Japan Cup, dealing with a shoulder injury coming in, suffering the broken nose to Zack Sabre Jr. He's not anywhere near 100%, but he was good enough to gut through and win that amazing battle against Shingo Takagi. So we'll see how things go. Give me a sense, give me a feel, Chris, as to what Ibushi was saying the other night when they gave him the belt, the presentation. And I know he had words with Kojima as well, because Koji shared it on social media. I think he's very respectful towards the former champions in his words, in his actions, and the way he's almost selling this concept of the unified title.
Yeah, I think so. But now it's it's time to put up or shut up. I think for several months now he's been talking about how he wants to respect those two legacies and carry that forward into a new stage. As much as he likes, as much as the official label will be his champion number one, in a very real sense, his champion 101. Because he's had, he's at the top of those lists of heavyweight and intercontinental championship reigns. But now here is where the proof comes. It's in the pudding. It's in these matches. It's in this the sort of killer app, so to speak. It now, all of that talk, I think, of the last 2 years when we've talked about double championship matches, one of those questions is, what will this person do with those belts? And I think that was one of those subheadings, one of those subtitles that kind of we had to get through that part of the discussion. Now there's none of that. It's just one championship. It's two guys wrestling for the top belt. If you're the best, you're the best. There's you're the strongest and you're the best. There's no other questions about it. And here is where things, for me, get really exciting, because there's no sort of set dressing. There's none of that stuff. It's all on the in-ring product from here on out. And Kota Ibushi has to produce that product on Sunday.
And by the way, looming, as we both know, looming in the wings for whomever wins on Sunday is Shingo Takagi, because he gets next. I don't care who you throw into the mix. Shingo's up next. Ibushi hinted as such the other night, right?
I think Ibushi certainly wants to face Shingo Takagi, but yeah, I think Ibushi wants to face everybody, really. There's an element of Shingo has said in the past, hey, Ibushi's been ducking me. So I think there's always that rivalry between those two guys, similar age as well. But then Kota Ibushi certainly wants to wrestle Hiroshi Tanahashi. Kota Ibushi, I'm sure now that the title's revealed, Kazuchika Okada has something to say about it. Tetsuya Naito has something to say about it. You've got the ultimate target on Kota Ibushi's back from here on out.
We'll see how it all unfolds at Sakura Genesis just a few hours from now. Live coverage with English commentary right here on njpwworld.com. Bell time is 5 p.m. local time in Japan. So, for example, it's 4 a.m. on the East Coast. And Chris, for you in Japan, it will be 5 p.m.
It will be 5 p.m. Yes,
very
exactly.
Easy for you to figure out.
Easy for me, yeah.
But we want to invite fans from all over the world to tune in. And since this is the start of a new month, we want you to welcome in every new subscriber, every returning subscriber, clue them in on what is going on, get them signed up at the first of the month. They'll be able to get caught up with New Japan Cup action, the road to Sakura Genesis, the entire story as we get set for the big event. Ryogoku Sumo Hall is one of the historic venues in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It is going to be an amazing scene, and we can't wait to call it. For Chris Charlton, Gino would be with us too, maybe. But for Chris Charlton, I'm Kevin Kelly. We'll see you in just a little while. Sakura Genesis right here on njpwworld.com.